I'm Rebecca of Pocketful of Posies, and it's my 1 year YouTube anniversary. Well, it was actually on the 12th, but hey. So in celebration of that, I wanted to do a couple of things. I'm going to be doing a pattern giveaway, and I will let you know all the details about that a little bit later in the video. And I also wanted to answer any questions that all of you have posed to me on YouTube and also on Instagram. So without further ado, let's get into all of that. So before I get started with all of the questions and the giveaway, I did want to talk a little bit about something I've been thinking about a lot. And a few weeks back, the lovely Bernadette Banner posed a question in a Costube group about your why. Finding your why. Why do you make videos? What's your purpose? And what are your goals in making videos? And I thought about that a lot, especially because at that time I was really stressed out. I was stressed out with COVID and work because I was really busy at work, and I was trying to keep all of my student performers safe and myself safe and all of that. And I was having trouble finding the time to sew and to edit, and I felt like I was like rushing things in my editing process, and you know, my most recent videos hadn't done as well as I wanted them to, all of that stuff. So I was just kind of in a bad place. I was just feeling a little disheartened and just stressed. So I was thinking about that question, why? Why am I doing this? Why do I make videos? What's the reason? The more I thought about it, the more I came back to all of you. And when I started this channel, I really started it as a way to help me creatively and to give myself goals and to document my progress and all of that to keep me going sewing. And then, especially after COVID, I received so many comments on how my videos had helped many of you get confidence to start historical costuming, and how you really appreciated seeing a plus size person in historical costumes. And that just, you know, that just fills my heart. And so that's it. That's my why. If I can be encouraging or helpful to one person out there, then I feel like I have succeeded. Okay, enough with the mushy stuff. Let's get going with the giveaway. Okay, so I will be giving away a pattern on January 29th, and I am giving away this Regency Stays pattern. And it is from the Mantua Maker, and the size range is for bust 30 inches to 62 inches, waist 22 inches to 56 inches, and hips 32 inches to 64 inches. And in addition to the pattern, I'm also going to be giving away this wooden busk to go with it. And I bought this pattern for myself as well, and I'm going to be making a pair of Regency stays next month. So stay tuned for that. Now, as far as the details go for getting this pattern, to enter to win, all you need to do is comment down below on this video with pattern. And you have until January 28th to do that. And this giveaway is open to any subscriber in North America. Unfortunately, with the way mail is right now and shipping things, I don't feel comfortable sending things overseas right now because there's so many delays and crazy things happening and things getting lost. And not that that doesn't happen just in the US either, but hopefully next time I give a giveaway, I will be able to open it up to the whole world. So there you go. So enter before January 28th with pattern down below in the comments. All right, let's get to some of your questions. Now, I printed them out because I couldn't remember everything. So I'm going to be reading the questions off of this paper. Okay, so I divided the questions because there were a lot of questions that were kind of duplicates. So I divided them up into different categories. My categories are dogs making noise for $200. No. My categories are inspiration, beginnings, YouTube, muggle life, supplies, time management, specifics, and random. So here we go. Okay, so my first question, or a group of questions, are about inspiration. So how do you find inspiration? How do I choose what I'll be working on next? What inspires me creatively? And so that's a very good question. And I would say my inspiration for different projects really varies. You know, sometimes it's a costume in a movie or a TV show. Sometimes it's a painting. Sometimes it's a costume friend saying, hey, do you want to do this theme collab or challenge? So many different things can be inspiring. Sometimes it's just scrolling through fabric stores online and seeing a fabric that's beautiful and the project just comes to my head. So, next question. Who inspires you in costuming, YouTube, and or both? Well, I'm inspired by so many of my fellow costumers. They're all really just fantastic, wonderful people, and so helpful and encouraging. And so definitely I am inspired by the lovely Liz of Lizscapism. Her videos are just really great, and not only does she make wonderful, wonderful garments, she also is just a grade A, fantastic, wonderful human being. Another costumer that I really am inspired by is Dixie DIY. I really like the way she films and edits her videos, and she makes wonderful, beautiful costumes as well. And she's very, down to earth, and I like that a lot. I am, of course, always inspired by Rebecca of Lady Rebecca Fashions because her costumes just make me drool and have so much envy for her skills. And she's very, very nice and very helpful, and she's also musical, so she inspires me as well. And a new costume friend that I have who is so nice and so encouraging is Kelly of Unpacking the Trunk Costumes, and her videos are fun. She takes you antiquing and shows you the costumes that she's working on and her process, and check her out as well if you don't follow her also. And then of course my inspiration, at least my CosTube inspiration for when I started, what kind of got me thinking about doing it is, of course, Morgan Donner. I love her videos. She's fantastic, and just, I love her personality on screen, and her sewing is beautiful, and yes. And then Noelle of Costuming Drama, because she's the one who really inspired me to just do the thing, and so I did. So all of these costubers will be linked below, so check them all out if you don't already subscribe to them. Or check them out anyway, even if you do subscribe. They might have something new that you missed. Next question is beginnings. How did you get interested in historical costume? How did you get started in costuming? And how did you get into sewing? Well, I've always loved costumes. I think part of the performer in me, I've always, loved theater costumes, especially operas, musicals, ballets, just seeing the costumes move on stage, in addition to glorious singing, is like my perfect scenario. So I've always loved costumes. I never had any interest in sewing. My mother made me a bunch of costumes as I was growing up, and she made me like the Christine's blue dress from the Phantom of the Opera one time for a thing in high school with her cape and everything, and she made me a beautiful Victorian taffeta outfit for a performance in a Gilbert and Sullivan operetta in undergrad. So I've always loved costumes, but I hated sewing. I took home ec and it was dreadful, and I hated sewing. But then I just one day decided I'm gonna sew something. And so I have a sister who is almost 19 years younger than me, and so when I was in my mid-20s, I decided I was going to sew her some Barbie clothes, and of course those Barbie clothes were going to be musical costumes. So I made her costumes, all of the costumes for all of the characters in Into the Woods. And I made her all of the costumes from the Phantom of the Opera. And so from there, that really helped me learn how to read patterns and see how things went together and learn basic sewing skills. I did everything by hand then because I was afraid of sewing machines. So that's what I did. So they were not the best constructed Barbie clothes, but there was a lot of love put into them. And then back in 2012, I decided I wanted to be Idris from Doctor Who for Halloween that year, and I just launched into it. I went into it. I didn't have any money or any fabric. I had a sewing machine at that point. My mother had bought me a sewing machine, and I took apart an old costume. It was actually my Christine from Phantom of the Opera costume that didn't fit anymore, and I took that apart to use as the shapes to make a bodice, and I put a zipper in the back, and I bought some trim fabric, and anyway, it was a bit of a mess, but it really got me going into sewing, and then that just snowballed, and I started learning more about historical costume, and there you go. The rest is history, as they say. Next group of questions. YouTube. What inspired you to start your YouTube channel? What made you decide to start YouTubing? Pretty much the same question. So, as I said in my introduction, I wanted to give myself sewing goals and document my progress and show my mistakes and everything, because I thought that would be interesting and important for people to see that, yes, everyone makes mistakes. And even if you end up with a beautiful garment, you may have had 20 mistakes along the way. And so I didn't, at that time also, when I was getting started, I mean, it was just a year ago, or a little over a year ago when I started thinking about it, and my husband bought me a camera for our anniversary, and so I didn't see very many plus-size historical costumers on the YouTubes at that time, so I just was like, let's do it, let's just do it, and that will give me a reason to sew, and I'll have goals for my sewing, and so that's what I did. Next question under YouTube is, did you find it difficult? Putting videos on YouTube I was nervous about it. I was nervous about it more because I was worried about trolls and my size. But I really haven't had any. I think I've only had one so far, and he was quickly taken down by other costume friends. So, that worked out okay. And so I was worried about that, just in a general nervousness sense. But the most difficult thing for me, I would say, is, oh man, there's a truck outside and the dogs are barking. The most difficult aspect of YouTubing is dealing with my dogs because they never stop making noise. I need my tea. We'll try this again. Hopefully the dogs will behave, which never happens, but I have my tea, so here we go. Difficulties. The most difficult aspect of YouTubing for me was definitely the technology side. I am not particularly technology inclined, but I have a wonderful husband who is, so he has helped me a lot. You know, I had never done any video editing or photo editing or photography or sound editing, any of that stuff. I'd really never done any of that before I got started. So that has a steep learning curve. So I feel I'm getting into a rhythm now, a year later, but it took me a while to feel comfortable, and editing took forever because I was so slow because I didn't know how to do anything. And I still don't know how to do much. So sometimes I have to ask my husband, do you know how to do this in DaVinci or whatever? And he's like, just look it up on YouTube. So of course, and he always helps me. So thank you to him. All right, next question in that same category. Do you have any tips for those thinking of beginning? Yes, I do. I have a tip, and it is just do it. Just do the thing. If you're inspired to make YouTube videos and document your sewing or share what you're making with the world or make tutorials or anything, just do it. And you'll learn it along the way. Your first videos may not be the most amazing videos you've ever seen, but everyone is learning. Everyone, unless you have some kind of background in film, everyone starts at the beginning. So just do it. But I would say my next bit of advice is to set reasonable goals for yourself and compassionate goals. I think Noelle has talked about this. Be compassionate with your deadlines and your goals for yourself. If you have a busy life and you can sew only once a week and film only once a week, maybe don't start with weekly uploads, right? You know, if you can do once a month uploads, do once a month uploads. If you can do every other month uploads, do every other month. If you could do once a week, do once a week. If you can do twice a week, do twice a week. But set reasonable goals for yourself so you don't get crazy stressed out trying to get something uploaded, you know, because that doesn't make for a good video anyway when you're rushing. Believe me, I know. So be kind to yourselves. Okay, next question is under the category Muggle life. So I giggled at this question. Do you only teach voice lessons through a local organization, or can randos from the internet hire you? I only teach voice lessons through a local organization. And the next question is, what is your musical background? Well, I have a Master of Music in Vocal Performance. My emphasis was opera performance, and I also have studied piano, and I have been teaching voice and piano lessons for about 17 years now. Next category, supplies. All right, how do you choose your fabrics? Is it, ooh, that would look good for this project? Or do you buy fabric just adding it to the great stash? Some of both, I would say. If I already have an idea for a project that I want to make, then I will scour the internet for a fabric that I think will look good for that project. I don't do much fabric shopping in stores. well, I don't do any right now because of COVID, but even before COVID, I didn't do a lot in stores because where I live, we only have a Hobby Lobby and some like quilting fabric stores. And there's a Joann like 20 minutes away. I go there sometimes when I need stuff, but I usually just buy online and take my chances. And so when I buy online, I generally buy fabric. I buy a lot of fabric on eBay. A lot of times I can find, cuts of things, like decent fabrics for not a whole lot of money, people selling off their stash or whatever. So I just scroll through and see what I find. And that's how I do. I buy also a lot of fabrics from fabricmart.com. They have sales fairly often. So my robe à l'anglaise, the silk I bought for that gown, I bought on Fabric Mart during a sale. And I think I got it for, I bought it for $11 a yard, and it's real silk. So I thought that was a pretty good bargain. And I bought 8 or 10 yards. I can't remember how much of it I bought at that time. But yes. And Etsy too, sometimes you can find good fabric. Now, what patterns, brands are your favorite? My favorite patterns to work with are Truly Victorian and Laughing Moon Mercantile and Black Snail patterns on Etsy. And also the Mantua Maker. I haven't made any of those garments from the Mantua Maker, but I have made her corset pattern, and I'm planning on making her stays pattern. And my battery's about to die. All right, we are back. New battery has been put in. Everyone's making noise. So, where was I? Oh, next question. I'd like to know where you purchase trims. eBay or Etsy mostly. I just search for whatever type of trim I'm looking for. Sometimes I just search for a certain color. Sometimes it's a certain type of trim. That's what I do. A lot of eBay and Etsy searches. Okay, Hercules is on my next set of questions. Okay. All right. Next questions under the banner of time management. How do you manage to finish so many projects? I have trouble once I get past that initial excitement of starting something new. I know this feeling well. Truthfully, having YouTube upload deadlines has kept me on track as far as time management goes. Sometimes I do not give myself compassionate deadlines and rush through projects because I know I have a video that needs to be uploaded. But yes, I also have a planner that I keep track of all of my projects, and I plan several, I would say a couple of months worth of projects at a time, and I decide what I'm going to do with my sewing time each day that I can sew, and when I'm going to edit and all of that. And I just keep track of that in a planner so that I know, okay, well, this day I have this many hours, so I'm going to work on cutting out my patterns or whatever. And that's how I just keep things flowing. And if I don't have a deadline or something to work towards, then I procrastinate a lot. So having a deadline definitely helps me. I thought this was a good question. How do you balance work, marriage, and costubing? Carefully, I guess would be my answer to schedule is generally 1 to 9, Monday through Friday. Sometimes I have to work on Saturdays if there's a performance coming up or we have a rehearsal or something, but generally 1 to 9. Some days I go in a little bit later, some days I leave a little earlier. It just kind of depends, but that's my general work schedule. So I work 1 to 9, so I sew and edit in the mornings before I go to work. My husband works 9 to 5, so actually since COVID, he's been working from home, and we actually see each other more now than we did before COVID. So it's nice in the mornings, we can have a cup of tea together before he starts work, and yeah, I'm enjoying having him working from home. It's been really nice. And he's also really great with computers and photography and all of the technological stuff. So he helps me out a lot, and I really, really appreciate that. Next category is specifics. Do you have any tips for making stays for plus size bodies? Well, I've made one pair of stays. Well, 2 pairs, I guess, because I made one for my sister and I made one for me. And I have a video about my stays. I'll link that below. But my best advice is to do a test run or 2, make a mock-up. Someone commented recently that mock-up is not the correct word for mock-ups. But I can't remember what the correct word is, but anyway. So do that, do a mock-up. Let's see here. Do you have any suggestions for historical photos or fashion plates for plus sizes? And that's a question. Honestly, I don't. I don't actively seek out plus size fashion plates or photos. I enjoy them when I find them though. But yeah, Google searches or Pinterest. That's about the only answer I have for that one. A lot of these questions I don't have answers to, but I'm going to try to answer as best as I can. Any suggestions on where to find petite but plus size Edwardian style patterns that aren't too complicated, or am I biting off more than I can chew? I have made several Edwardian and late Victorian patterns from Black Snail Patterns. They're on Etsy. I'll link that below. I'm average height, so I don't have to do much as far as lengthening or shortening. I did a little bit of research, and I kind of came up empty on specifically historical costume patterns for petites. I found a website which is petitepluspatterns.com, which has a lot of petite patterns, but none of them are really historical, but perhaps they could be adapted to as kind of a starting point, perhaps for the length of things, or especially in bodices and stuff, you know, because that would be shorter. Maybe they could be used as kind of a template for creating more historical silhouettes with those patterns. I'm not sure. There's also curvysewingcollective.com, which has resources for plus size patterns in general, a whole huge list of them. So check that out, and hopefully you will find some patterns that you can use. I like this one. It's from my Christmas video. If you were to replace the flowers on your last project, which was my Christmas dress, what would you choose? I'm almost certain that you said you were not pleased with them. Yes, I was not pleased with the glittery poinsettias. I thought they would be pretty when I bought them. That's another danger of buying online. They didn't look that glittery in the picture when I bought them, but they were covered in glitter and spread glitter throughout the land. So if I were to replace the flowers, and I may, they're just tacked on because I didn't like them that much. But if I were to replace them, I would replace them with non-glittery poinsettias. Maybe silk ones. Or bows. Or both. Not sure. Next question. Is there a corset suitable for a disabled person? I definitely am not an expert on this subject, and so I don't really have an answer to that one. I know many people use corsets for back issues, but I would definitely do a lot of research, talk to your doctor and all of that. And if any of you out there know some answers to these questions, feel free to comment below. Do you have any plans for more Disney accurate costumes planned in the future? Yes, I do. I really want to do an 18th century Belle costume, but I haven't decided which costume. I originally was going to do her blue costume and do more of a casual working class type of outfit. But I also really like her pink Christmas one with the red hood. So I have to decide what I want to do, which costume I want to do. And if I do the pink, I will probably do it later this year, fall or winter. Maybe that will be my Christmas project. I don't know. So Thor is in my way. But yes, I definitely have plans for more historically inspired Disney costumes. Okay, the final category, 2 quite random questions, and I love them. So here we go. What's your favorite variety of bear? I love this question. Bears are so cute and gigantic. I really like the American black bear. When I was a kid, my family camped in the Smoky Mountains nearly every summer for like a week, and we saw black bears a lot up there. And one time we saw a black bear, a big one, up in a tree, hanging out like on a limb, upside down, hanging on the limb, eating fruit. And it was just the most amazing and slightly terrifying thing because it was so huge on the small limb. So the American black bear is my answer to my favorite bear. And then finally, what Hogwarts house are you? Hufflepuff through and through. Every quiz, everything I have ever done to determine your Hogwarts house, I have never gotten anything but Hufflepuff. So I think I am definitely a Hufflepuff. Last sip of tea. I wanted to thank you all so much for your support and for watching and for subscribing and liking and all of the wonderful things, the comments that you leave me. And thank you. Welcome to my new subscribers. Thank you all very much. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like or a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that. If you'd like to be notified when I upload, you can hit that bell icon. I will be back next week with a little fun video of sewing with pets bloopers. I have a lot of pet footage in all of my sewing, so I chose some that I thought were amusing and put them all together for you next week. So stay tuned for that. Remember, if you want to enter the giveaway, comment down below with the word pattern before January 28th. And on January 29th, I will have a video announcing the winner of the pattern giveaway. Again, thank you so much, and I will see you next time on our next sewing adventure.